So welcome once again to this Monday morning. It's your Mentorship Monday here at Sauti Kweli Media, and you're watching The Mentors. And today we are focusing on the role of parents in mentorship. And I have special guests with us today. We realize today there's not a lot of melanin in the show, and that's really a good thing. So we have Madam Purity Thuo. Welcome once again.
Thank you.
The Associate Dean of Students, Mount Kenya University. And also I have Margaret Wanjiro that is joining us today. So you may all know that every child needs a mentor, but we realize that even parents who are part of our first mentors in our life are more than mentors themselves. And that brings us, to getting to certain things that we have read and certain things that we have been taught that train up a child in the way that he or she should go and will not depart from it. So welcome again, gents and ladies, even as we start this show. And just to get us into the conversation, Ezron, you said a while back that, parents are really our first mentors.
Yes.
What is it about that, and how can we pick it up from, ensuring that that is sustainable with every child that comes from it?
Thank you. Yeah, parents are our first mentors. Biologically, yes, because they give birth to us. Without them, we wouldn't be here. And so I take that as the first step that you have to learn from someone who gave you the essence of being useful in the society. Because without them, I don't think if we would have any transition from a child to a boy to a man.
Yes. So that helps with one's growth.
Yes.
Madam Purity, allow me to bring you in at this moment, because I realize that parental mentorship is so crucial, and for the sustainability of every child, that is so important. What really is the relationship between parenting and mentoring?
Okay. Number one, what I would say is that when it comes to a mentor per se,
Yes.
a mentor is someone who has a skill or an expert in an area.
Sure.
And it's so when a mentee comes on board, basically they want to ensure that they're able to transfer the skill they have or even make the mentee better.
Yes.
But you realize with a parent, the responsibilities are immense.
Okay.
Because I have moral obligation towards this child, towards their behavior, also spiritual well-being and development of this child.
Yes.
So with a parent, it's all encompassing. But one thing you need to know is that it is a parent who recognizes the capability of a child from a very early stage. And even before I'm able to take this child to a mentor who is probably an expert in an area, I've already noticed, I've already seen something with this child, and already I'm encouraging a certain kind of a behavior, I'm encouraging a certain kind of a skill. So you realize a parent will not only help you to achieve what you're supposed to achieve, but they also give you what you call the opportunities, and they'll also enable you.
Yes.
So a parent becomes very critical when it matters mentorship.
Yeah.
They're very, very critical.
Wow, I think we all agree with that, because, that now forms the basis, that forms the foundation of one's living and one's growing and one's maturing.
Yes.
Maggie, allow me to bring you in at this moment, because personally I agree with a single parent who happened to be a mother, a very loving, a very strong woman, Lorna Omondi. And what really I can be able to pick up is there is something that I miss, because the male dimension came through through uncles, through neighbors, through friends, through mentors, through pastors, and stuff like that. What would you say was, some of the biggest benefits that you got from, just growing up with both parents? And how has it helped you or shaped you in making certain decisions or perceiving certain things or just acting towards certain things?
All right. Thank you. So growing up with both parents, you could say it, as we normally say, that two is better than one.
Yeah, sure.
So there are instances where maybe one of the parents is maybe facing a certain crisis or just life problems. So the good thing is that you always have another parent who you can always fall back to. And as a young person while growing, a father is very crucial, especially to a girl when growing up.
Yes.
Father is really important because they shape a lot of decisions that we make in life.
Okay.
Because you have a man to look up to.
Okay.
And most of the times you find that almost every other decision you make regarding the opposite gender, it's mostly based on what you saw in your father.
Okay.
Yeah, so growing up with both parents, I knew that I had somewhere to fall back to. If not my mother, I had my dad to fall back to.
Well, Ezra, now there's a joke you actually, having this week whereby we say, when you look at your facial expression or your attributes, we can say that the body has certain kinds of memories, yeah?
Yes.
Whereby we can say even your nose is from your grandfather and stuff like that. And so when it comes to, and I'm bringing this because it's been an hindrance and limitation, and Mother Purity will be able to elaborate on us on that more. When it comes to, parents mentoring you, they make decisions for you, because we also told children, obey your parents in the Lord. This is right. Honor your father, honor your mother. And when it comes to honoring them and stuff like that, because in our space we are working with, we have seen people who have ended up in school and done courses and did this, and someone graduated and saying, now this is for my parent. How was that, affected or limited you, if you might say? Because parents know better, they know better, I mean.
Yes, parents know better.
Okay.
And there's a saying I always say, when two brothers, they grew up seeing a father, and the father is alcoholic. So one brother comes out a drunkard, and one brother comes out an engineer.
Yes.
But it depends on what you saw from your father.
Okay.
Because your father was an alcoholic, but your brother comes out as an alcoholic, on the other side you come out as an engineer.
Yes.
But you saw the same person. You follow the same footsteps.
You grew up as the same person.
So I think it's the virtues and the values that your parent feeds in you.
Yeah.
Because the moment you are born and you are bred, there's that grapple between nature and nurture.
Yeah, sure.
Following obligations, the parents will nurture you. And that's mentorship. Because they will teach you how to dress when you're still young. They will teach you how to eat. They will teach you how to talk. They will teach you they will always tell you have to pass your exams. You have to do this, you have to do this, and you follow. And when you follow that suit to a certain period of time, it gets to an optimum point that now, as a man or as a lady, you'd feel, I need to make my own decisions. Now that's where the clash gets in.
Okay.
And that's why you find somebody does something for the parent and somebody else does something for himself.
Yeah.
And with that, I think they're all based on the virtues and the values that you are taught. And that's why we cannot despise the values and virtues that the parents feed in us. Because those are the things that actually bred you to the point where you are.
Yes.
The only thing that I think as young men and women, as we are growing up, what we need to know and to understand is you cannot come out the same as your parent.
Okay.
Your parent is just showing you the way. That's why you're told he knows better. He has been there years and years. He was once young. He was once the youngest. He also he was very... You might not even know how your parent was when he was young.
Yeah, and I actually love that line, because when Ezekiel Mutua was sharing on what is currently happening, I also you tweeted and said that every older person was once young. So there is no young generational truth or old generational truth. They have been there, they have seen it, they have walked it, and so they know better because they have experienced. And just like Madam Dean, submitted about him or her now coming to share experiences. The experiences might be good, they might be bad, but it is upon you to learn on the same.
On the same, and to make a choice on the same.
But Purity, allow me to bring you in at this point and just ask then, as parents, how vital is it, to be able to shape a child's, way of life? And when it comes to choices like career, education, how does that come? Because it's kind of bringing some conflict whereby a child wants to do this, but the parent feel like, in your familiar, this is what we do and stuff like that. How can we be able to mitigate or integrate those two things?
Okay, what I would say is that it all depends with the parent's orientation.
Okay.
And apart from being a parent, I also mentor youth, and they come with all sorts of questions. They tell me, I feel like I want to be an interior designer, but it's like my parents don't understand what it's all about.
Yeah.
And they're not supporting me. What should I do?
Yes.
Because we know we are coming from a point whereby we have traditional careers.
Okay.
Traditional careers. Personally, when I was growing up, as a woman, when I was growing up, the job I knew I could get, because those are the people that I would interact with, was either a teacher or a nurse.
Oh, sure.
A nurse, because I had interacted with a nurse in a hospital.
Okay.
I didn't know about banking because clearly at that level, none of us was even going to a bank.
Yeah.
You could hear people talk about akalak, walikuwa namuita karani.
Yeah.
So we realize that even as you're growing up, that is what you and also your parent knew. And that is the area they were driving you to.
Oh, sure.
So if you're coming from that kind of a background, and your son comes and tells you, you know, I want to go into a film academy. And you're like, film academy to do what? And then you're like, that is a career for the lazy, for the wayward.
Yes, yes.
And you know now, it becomes so difficult because it starts becoming like a fight.
Exactly.
Reason,
Yeah, sure.
as a youth, or as we say, talk about a youth, I need support. I need financial support.
True.
I need moral support. The person who should be my first number one support is my parent.
Yes. Yeah.
And yet they don't seem to be buying into this new area that I'm interested in. So there is that problem. So what I'm saying is it all depends with parents and where they're coming from. Personally, I can say God has been gracious because I'm in academia.
Okay.
And I've gotten to understand that there is more to just this traditional, or what you call the traditional jobs. I know, they are careers, if you'd say.
Yes.
I know that you can be a very good artist. I know you can also be a very good musician, and also make it in life, and you not be lazy, and you'll be considered wayward.
Yes.
So even way young, way back, like I would say one of my sons, I saw a musician in him.
Okay.
When he was young. And when I started buying toys, I would buy him a piano, I would buy him a guitar, but within a week, that guitar was in pieces. Because it's like, now it was too early.
Okay.
And it got to a point, actually, I realized, I was like, I made a mistake in all this.
Okay.
But now, once he was done with high school, in fact, in high school, he surprised me. When he told me, Mom, buy me a guitar.
Okay. You're already seen that.
Yeah, and I bought a guitar.
Yes.
Then the next thing was like, download for me some tutorials on how to play the guitar. And that is how it started.
Okay.
So right now, I am his number one fan.
Yeah.
He is learning, he is becoming better by the day in that. And I can see that dream I had then.
Yeah, it's actually manifesting.
It is manifesting.
And actually it becomes key because when your parents are your number one supporters in fact, because most of the support that you get growing up is from them directly.
Yes.
And I think that is why it hits a lot of youths when your parents deviate or are not supporting what you feel like you're doing.
Yes.
And this become key. Margaret, I don't know, what is it about, passion? Because when it comes to things like career, gifts and talents, if you're not passionate about something, it becomes hard for you to sustain it, even if it is something that has been suggested by a parent. How do you balance, and what message maybe would you have for those people who are already in those careers that we call traditional careers? Yeah, because again, you can't just now leave something that you've done and gone with for long, There's a saying that is said that finished is better than perfect. Yeah, and sometimes I believe whatever you're going through is not usually in vain. Yeah, you just need to now see, how do I blend it in with my area? How do I put it in line with my gift and talent? How would you go about that?
Well, I would say that when you talk of passions, let me focus on our passions, as you've said.
Yeah, sure.
I think when you talk of passions, we grow and passions change as we grow.
Okay.
Because when you talk of passions, it could be that when I was young, I really loved maybe traveling.
Okay.
Or maybe I really loved, let's say, swimming.
Yeah.
That's a passion, right? But now at my age, maybe I would say that maybe swimming is not really my thing, or maybe I got to realize that no, swimming is not for me. So I think maybe you just need to sit, as a person, you need to sit and actually know what your passions are at that particular time.
Yeah.
And maybe look at what has been consistent throughout.
Exactly.
Because one thing I know, as much as all things change, deep down we know that there is something that never changed in our passions.
Okay.
So that's something that we really need to stick with, as much as everything will be changing, and let it maybe inform every other thing that you are to do.
Wow.
One thing about passion I know is that you can with your passion you can blend almost everywhere.
Yes.
Whatever you're doing, you can you can walk with your passion. For example, if maybe I love traveling, maybe I can go in a school and ensure, as a teacher now, and I love traveling, I can go to a school and ensure that I'm so much into sports activities, music activities, I'll be traveling.
Yeah, and that's the key. That's key. How you blend it in. Because, it said that passion is actually the fuel. That is what fuels you.
Yes.
Without passion, you'll get tired. Anything that you are doing, whether it's a career, whether it's a job, if you're not passionate about it, then there's a place of, you know, you just getting tired about it. Let me bring you in at this point and just ask, one of the things about mentorship when it comes to parental guidance is actually what we call the house chores. And, you know, there's the house chores and this and that and stuff. But the integration and the challenge that really is coming is what many people are asking is, why is it so important, you know, for parents to train, to guide, to mentor children to have those skills?
Okay.
Yes.
Well.
And we are talking about both genders.
Both genders.
That's important.
We are coming from a generation whereby they were brought up by house helps.
Yeah.
And everything they have grown up being done by house help. They are cleaning, the cleaning of their elderlies, the house, the cooking and all that.
Okay.
So now we realize when these people get out of homes, as early as 17 or 18, that's when they finish Form 4, they find themselves in a bed sitter, and they have never made some ugali.
Okay.
So a very basic meal in Kenya.
Yeah.
They don't know how to spin. And she's laughing because she has seen a lot of it. A lot of it within the college.
Yeah, because indeed you find people who are 16 years old and all they can do is just boil water. That's the only thing they can do in the kitchen. So,
yes.
yeah.
So it is important as parents, you get to a level you realize that these children will not be with you forever.
Exactly.
And you need to prepare them for the real world.
Yes.
The real world is not very kind.
Okay.
You cannot always depend on chips and sausages and from Kenchik.
Okay.
After all, sometimes even the finances are not available.
Yeah, sure.
So you need to know how to do your ugali. You need to know how to cut your skuma wiki, and you need to also know how to do your cleaning. Let me give you an example. When my sons,
yes.
I once found my son having soaked clothes, and it was just with plain water. Then he was waiting for the clothes. Yeah, and then I was like, how? But I hear people soak clothes, so I just soak. And then it was like, no, you need to put soap in it so that soap can be working on the dirt.
Exactly.
So that when you get to cleaning,
yes.
it will be easier to clean. So you see, if I had not told him that, right now they don't make the same mistakes.
Yes, sure,
but he had not taught them that, he'll still making the same mistakes.
Yes.
And I know you have so many of us experience. You find that, over the week, a child or a youth or a student will keep their elderly and then carry it home.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because they wouldn't even know where to start to clean their own clothes. So it is important even as the children grow up, if possible over the holidays, give the house help a leave. Maybe come up with a timetable of who will be doing the roadly. Of course, do your own roadly.
Okay.
And also cleaning the house, cooking.
Yeah.
And if you think that probably my only thing I can do is mukimo and maybe it's boring, you can also ask Mr. YouTube. YouTube is very generous. Very generous with a lot of beautiful and good recipes.
Yeah, sure.
And you get a lot of help. So personally, we have been doing that. We come up with a program. Everyone cleans, everyone washes, everyone also cooks.
Yes.
Including the one in primary school.
Wow.
And we eat the food, regardless how it is, but it's done well. Because again, they want to excel, they want to prove that they can. Yeah. So they do it and do it well.
Yeah.
And I've also had very many parents, especially during this period of COVID, a lot of parents have been confessing that I did not know my son can cook that well.
Yeah.
I didn't know my daughter can actually clean their clothes and become clean. So it has been both a pandemic at the same time. It has also been advantageous for families.
Yeah.
So it is very important to prepare our children, because even when you go outside the country, you know that you cannot be able to afford the services of cleaners, of house helps, so you need to be able to learn to do these things yourself.
Yes.
And anyway, it is the right thing to be done. You know what is called grooming. No, it's all about grooming. It's your thing. Just learn to do it. Sure. Even if someone else will come to do it, when you get so busy in life, you'll only be improving. They'll only be improving on what you can do. Yeah,
and I think that's really important, because at the end of the day, the truth of the matter is we are not going to be living with our parents forever. I encountered something yesterday, when they were questioning, they were asking, where is your grandparents? If they are there, where is your great-grandparents? If they are there, where is your great-great? So you realize at the end of the day, there is that transition of you want to be there with your parents every time, every day. And so these groomings and these trainings become very, very, very key. Ezra, one of the things that is coming up, when you talk about, there's a saying that I've heard a lot of the time people mentioning, that men are not for the kitchen, women are for the kitchen. And I'd just like to bring you in and Maggie on this specifically because you are young people. What do you think about this, and is it true, is it a fallacy, is this something that we should even be embracing and not because it's
that
affecting?
seems like a direct hit on me.
Okay. Yeah.
I would say it's relative. It's not absolute.
Okay.
Because you find in our generation, when
Yes.
we were growing up, parents told us, mostly my parent would tell me, a man is not supposed to go to the kitchen.
Exactly.
But I would still go.
Is it a man should not go to the kitchen, or is it there is a season? There is a season of life that okay, a man should be mindful of the kitchen. You can imagine for someone who is married, and
Yes.
you have a wife, you
Yes.
have house helps and stuff like that. Should you still keep going? Because at the end of the day, bro, we are in the university. There is that season that you get to live alone.
Yes.
So what do? You avoid the kitchen because you need to cook, you need to clean, you need to feed yourself.
Of course, you can't avoid.
Okay.
And that's why when I used to still go into the kitchen,
Yes, yes.
it would be a clash because you'd find me clashing with my sisters.
Mm-hmm.
And we would find a way of now deciding you need to cook, then I wash the plates.
Okay.
So you become smart. I was smart enough. I washed the plates next to her cooking
Okay.
so that I could see what she was doing.
Yes.
And with that, you get to learn because if you don't, generally parents will teach you, but they will not tell you the essence of why they're teaching you how to cook.
Okay.
Because they would not know if in future you'd be alone or you'd be married or you'd be something.
Mm.
So the moment they start teaching you and telling you you're supposed to go to the kitchen, of course if a parent tells you that a man is not supposed to go to the kitchen, that's not a good statement.
Okay.
A parent should tell you a man should not get used to the kitchen.
Yes.
That is much better. I can understand that and say, I may only go to the kitchen if it's important.
Okay.
But if you have sisters and you have people who can help you go to the kitchen, and looking at your caliber, of course you're being groomed to be a better man.
Mm-hmm.
You would not be a man who complains or fights with your wife or your fiancé at the kitchen.
Okay.
That is not a good attribute.
Wow.
So you find that we were supposed to be groomed in a way that we get to understand. But you see, also in that generation, we had parents who would follow rules.
Okay.
There were no options.
Yes, yes, yes.
The rule is this is what I wanted to do and this is what you have to do.
It's a command.
And as at now, we get to learn and realize there were some virtues you are learning. One of them is discipline.
Yeah, sure.
Another thing is responsibility.
Sure. And resilience.
Resilience. Because right now, if you're staying alone and you have dirty plates, would you call another lady to come and wash the plates?
No.
It's your house. You wouldn't, right?
Yes.
So they were teaching us those virtues, but indirectly, to the essence that they were not telling us, I'm teaching you discipline.
Okay. Okay.
You were supposed to grow and learn and get to realize that that was discipline.
Wow.
That was responsibility. Because if you'd even break a cup or a plate, you'd be given some beating.
My friend, let's not just get to there because that will get us into a different kind of conversation. Maggie, personally, I'm a firstborn. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm a firstborn who grew with a single parent, and so when it comes to kitchen or not, that was not really an option. And also that begs the question, it's not about, brothers and sisters. We have families whereby it's all men. We have families whereby it's all women. Yeah? Should we be talking about roles or should we be talking about purpose? Because again, what has really happened is that we grew in a system whereby it was like, this is a role of a woman, this is a role of a man. And when we talk about roles, you realize that we are limited.
Yes.
Should we be focusing on roles or should we talk about purpose? Because with purpose, we realize we are all human beings. It is male and female.
Yes.
It is human. It's the human race. Yeah. But we are not saying that what a man can do, a man can do. But we are saying this is the whole human race. Okay. So what will be your submission on that?
I take issues to do with cooking, laundry, issues to do with working.
Yes.
For me, those are gender roles, and
Those are
gender
okay.
roles can change anytime.
Exactly.
The only
Exactly.
roles that I don't expect to change are biological roles.
Uh-huh.
And so if you're eating,
Wow.
if you know that you have to eat,
Yes.
which is true, we all need to eat for us
Yes.
to live.
Exactly.
Then what's wrong with you going to the kitchen and preparing what you to eat?
Yes.
That's a basic survival skill.
That's a basic
You need
survival
it,
skill.
right?
Yeah.
And so I was brought up in a family where it wasn't about being a man or a woman.
Okay.
It was not an issue of being a girl or a boy.
Yeah.
The point was we need to eat. So
Who is to cook?
Who is to cook.
Yeah.
And interestingly, I have a brother who is in class 7, and one thing I know is that we can't sleep hungry when he's there. He can cook very comfortably. And something
Big
else.
up to all the
Big up to all the
brothers
brothers who can
who are cooking and supporting their family.
And at the same time,
Yes.
something else, and I think at times the issue, when it gets to the issue of cooking and laundry,
Yeah.
it gets quite personal to me.
Okay.
Because while growing up, I had a very close relationship with my dad, especially at a young age. Because up to date, if I go home and I'm making something like chapatis, when I'm rolling, my dad will be pale papan, very comfortably, up to date.
Okay.
Yes. He'll come and tell me, let me help you.
That's
Wow.
a very good father.
Yes.
Wow.
And I've seen my dad helping with laundry at home very
Hey.
comfortably, because you look at it this way, and I think that's why I got the idea that it's not really about you being a man or a woman.
Yeah.
It's you
Yeah.
being a human being.
It's you being a
and
human
you need
being.
to live in a tidy place.
Exactly.
You need to eat good food.
Thank you.
Interestingly, the best chefs that we have are men.
The best chef.
Say that again.
Clap. We've never clapped in this show. We have never clapped in this show.
The best chefs that we have
Yes.
in the world are men.
Confirmed by a
Just
woman
like-
herself. Yeah.
Confirmed by a woman.
So
That's
and Margaret, you know, there's something I'm picking up. I once had my Zmuno talk about the same thing. He was saying that with him, when it came to him and his family, it was not like now this is what the wife should do. In fact, if the wife cooked and did laundry and stuff like that, he would always go like, thank you. Because it's not something that is deserving, it's not a must and
Yeah.
stuff like that, okay? And I think that picks up, because now when it comes to mentoring our children, especially for a generation that is now coming up, who are getting into that phase of parenthood and stuff, let us try bringing our children in terms of gender, roles, and them understanding that they're human beings, they are male and female. It doesn't, differentiate them from being the human beings that they want to be.
And just a
Yes.
minute, still on the same thing, when it gets to the issue of gender roles, I find it not okay saying that this is what a woman should do. Now I'm talking now from my generation.
Okay.
Yes.
Maybe mine and Madame are different. But for me, I find it not okay saying that a woman will go to work and then come cook, do laundry, do all these other issues.
Yes.
What if you come to the house first?
If I come first, that's okay. I'll do it.
Okay.
But now my question is, if you come first, will you do the same?
Well, just continue.
So I find it, and I really pray that we'll get to such a point.
Yeah.
I know that it's happening in some other countries, especially the Western countries.
Well, we are in Africa,
Yes.
and we love Africa, and we are not saying that Africans, we have a culture that has really diminished or limited us.
Yeah.
But what we are saying is, we have gone through trainings, we have gone through mentorship.
Yes.
This generation has gone through education.
Yes.
There is some level of understanding.
Yeah.
And so you and your spouse, you agree. We are not going to, tell people in this show that this is happening in this place, you are supposed to do it.
Yes.
No.
You have your own understanding,
Yeah.
you have your own thoughts. Come together as a people.
Yes.
Understand that there is some equality with you.
Yeah.
Masmundo says that as a man, you are the president of the home, and the woman who is the wife is the vice president, not deputy.
Yes.
Okay? And so you as a president, you are presiding over the home.
Yes.
It is not control. Okay?
Yeah.
The presidency is about presiding over the home. And you take advices from your vice president. When it comes to deputies, sometimes you don't need to take advice, you can just overrule. But when someone is a vice, there is the element of getting some advice from
Yeah,
them.
which is very
You
okay.
are working together.
Yeah.
So it's about you having your own, relationship and agreement.
Yes.
Yeah, which is personal.
Yes,
Yeah,
very personal.
So very personal. Did allow me to bring you in now, even as we prepare to sign out. One of my mentors, Bishop David Odepo, said something, and he was quoting from a scripture, Acts chapter 1 and verse 1. The things that Jesus began both to do and to teach. And he was saying, teaching becomes impactful when it is done. So children will end up listening to what parents say, but mostly they'll end up doing what they do. What is it about actions when it comes to what parents do, and how children borrow from that?
Yeah, there's a lot that goes into parenting by just observing. And there are so many things that I probably learned from my parents or the people who brought me up.
Okay.
Because currently I'm a product of community.
Yes.
Yeah. And I can see they have had a lot of impact on me. Some of them I had to unlearn.
Wow.
So when it comes to our children, you realize that, for example, if a guest comes into the house, the minute they sit, I know that regardless of who they are, I need to do some tea for them.
Exactly.
Yes.
I mean, we call it tea. It could be coffee, it could be whatever it is.
Yes.
So naturally, my children now know that when a guest comes in, they don't even have to wait for me to tell them.
Yeah.
Oh, because they've seen you do it.
Yeah, they have seen.
Okay.
So immediately you see that you have sat for like 2 or 3 minutes and tea is ready. Because that is what they have learned, that is what they have seen us do. And they know it's the right thing to be done.
Okay.
And I expect that even when they will have their own homes, the same will be carried over.
And pass to the next generation.
And pass to the next generation. So you realize there's a lot that goes toward just observing and seeing how a parent does their thing. And when you begin, we started asking me, what's the difference between a mentor and a parent?
Exactly.
And what's the relationship?
I think that's...
A mentor will be in my life for a short period of time.
Yeah.
And of
for
course,
a season,
yes,
which is a good season anyway.
From mentorship, you know, we have different kind of mentors.
Yes.
You have a spiritual mentor, you have a career mentor, you
business
have, they are different.
Okay.
So, and they play their different roles.
Yes.
But a parent, as long as they are alive, they'll continue being in your life.
Constant mentor.
They are constant mentors.
Wow.
And you realize even long after you are married, even, you know
Decisions.
yes, you know the most beautiful thing, or the most what we call it's a mystery.
Yes.
When you get a child, no doctor will ever give you a blueprint or a manual on how to bring up that child.
Yes.
And when you get to the house, the child is crying, they're all over you, like you don't know what to do. You know what you do?
You call
You call your parents.
Yes.
The baby is crying, I don't know, they will give you, do this, do that. So you realize a parent will be a mentor throughout. And if by any chance there are things that you participated as a child with your parent, you realize that you will carry them forward.
You carry them forward.
If your parent was abusive, I mean, sorry to say this, chances are that you'd also be abusive.
Yes.
Because you think, abusive by this I mean, if maybe the way they do their thing, if they are not kind to their mother, you didn't like it, yes.
Yeah.
You did not like the way your mother was being treated, but you will more likely than not find yourself also doing the same to your spouse.
Yes.
Because also it becomes as an excuse, it becomes as, you justify it.
Yes, you justify it because I saw it happening.
Yeah, so
and if your hive is not submitting, again you expect them to be a mini mother. Actually, I'm sorry to say this, you can tell me whether this is true, that most men are looking for their mother in a woman.
It's already been said, but I'm not sure about it, whereby they say most men are looking for their mothers. The same thing they say about women. They're looking
for their father.
Yeah.
So what does that tell you? That is the case. It tells you that person played a very big role in making you what you become.
Okay.
Yes.
So in that case, then we as parents then need to be very careful.
Okay.
The kind of the things we teach our children, the behavior that we show to them. Like in this case, I know there are some people, yes, they drink, but they will never show their children that they drink.
Yes.
So you hear somebody say that, I never saw my father drink.
Yeah, sure.
Or even if he did, he hid. So you find yourself doing the same.
Yeah.
But if it was displayed on the table and everybody is like, let us, share it all, you find that even you, when you have your own children, you not even, in fact, thank God, there are rules. Because you cannot send your child to go buy you alcohol. During our time, it used to exist. You'd be sent to buy cigarette, you'd be sent to buy tobacco.
Oh, sure.
You'd be sent to buy tobacco, and it packs on the child.
Wow.
So it is important how you behave with your children. They're more likely than not to take it. And even you realize, even much later when you want to take very critical decisions in life, very critical, you're most likely to go back to your parents, specifically the mother.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, that personally that has just spoken to me, and it's true. It's really happening. It's really been a great conversation at this time, and this is now the time we sign out. I know most people sometimes wonder, we don't start by introducing ourselves, so in this show we do it at the end. So even as we sign out, Hezron, your name and your parting shot.
Before I say my name, which already you've said, I need to add two things on whatever they've said.
Okay, as you.
And I'm very sure people might wonder why I'm saying that. The best mentor you can always have is a mother. Fathers are not good mentors. Because
fathers are mentors.
Disciplinarians.
Fathers are not dynamic. They are
Okay.
disciplinarians.
Okay.
Mothers are 100% dynamic.
Okay.
When you get an accident right now, who do you call first?
I told you I agree with a single parent.
So you don't have an option.
Nice. You don't have an option.
So,
but
Maria has an
generally,
option.
generally as a young person, when
Yeah,
you find yourself
yeah.
in a bad situation, you always call the name mom.
Yeah,
You
sure.
never say dad.
Sure.
Yeah.
Even if you're a man, you can never say
Exactly.
dad. Because
But
your
again-
dad taught you to be a man.
Then it's all about the upbringing. That is why the mentorship you're talking about.
Yes.
So even in this generation, those are things we can change. Men should be able to step in such a way that their sons and daughters can call them in such kind of cases.
But you know, as men, we are not built to be dynamic. We learn to be
Okay, well,
dynamic.
the same way they told us men should not cry, yet
Yes.
we know sometimes
You
it's
do
so
cry.
painful, it's so emotional.
The difference is
Yes.
men are not built to be dynamic. They
Okay.
learn to be dynamic.
Oh, sure.
But mothers are
Is
naturally
natural.
born to be dynamic.
Wow.
Because they will understand all aspects of what you go through.
Wow.
That is when you see, when you're going through puberty stage as a young man, your mother would know, but would not force you to do something.
Yes.
They will let you be in that stage and make the old mistakes you want to make, and then they will come back and later tell you, I told you this and that.
Okay.
But your father would really beat you because they would say, you're a man, what's a father come stand up.
Exactly.
So that is the thing that I think people should get to learn and
Wow.
understand,
Wow.
that the best mentors that we have are
Okay.
mothers.
The best
Which are
mentors that we have.
Yes, fathers, I have a doubt if they are good mentors. As I
So,
sign out,
yeah, as you said, the best mentors that we have are
mothers.
but fatherhood remains to be fatherhood,
Yes.
so that becomes your generation. Margaret, your name, who you are, and just your parting shot.
Okay, you just said my name.
Yes.
My parting shot will be, through this, that we all gravitate towards the familiar.
Okay.
When we are in a crisis, when we are confused, we always look back to where we come from and try finding solutions from there.
Exactly.
Which means we'll always go back to the values, the virtues, the models that we saw in our parents. And that's the reason as to why we need the best mentors from our parents.
Wow.
And yes, my name is Margaret Wanjiko.
Thank you so much. Yes, Madam Purity.
Okay, my name is Purity Thuo.
Yeah.
I'm a mother of 4,
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
Boys and girls.
3 boys.
Yeah.
That's
Yes.
a very good house.
Yes,
was
two are young adults,
That lady said.
and one other one is a teenager, and
Okay.
the girl is the youngest.
Sure.
She's just turned to be a teenager this year.
Okay.
So you can see how my house is very dynamic,
Yeah.
very interesting,
Yeah.
with the tantrums here and there. You know, it is interesting.
It's
And let
balanced.
me say also, I'm a mother to so many,
Yes.
so many, by the virtue of my position, and also by the virtue of the fact that I have mentored so many.
Yeah.
And recently, I got to get a very good story from one of my mentees. She told me, Madam, you encouraged me to go back to class.
Yes.
I went back to class, I did my master's, and she's not in this country. Right now, she's a duty manager in an international airport.
Wow.
And that blew me. And I was like, oh God, thank you that I was able to change a life somewhere.
It's always a joy.
And
for
many
every
others. So it always gives me that joy to be able to see that I have helped somebody somewhere. And some of them will still keep coming. They will keep calling. In fact, my children tell me sometimes they are very jealous. Mom, everybody who calls you mom, and I'm like, wow, it's a blessing
It is a
that your
blessing.
mother
It
is
is a
shared
blessing.
by many others.
by many.
So I would say that as parents out there,
Yes.
by the way, I'm not a perfect parent, not at all.
Yes.
None of us was born a parent.
Exactly.
We learn as children are growing. Also, we are learning these things.
Yes.
Also, probably learning from others. And I would say that let us walk this journey with our children.
Yes.
Sometimes they get very confused. Sometimes they just want you to be there for them, because it doesn't mean that you don't know what you want.
Yes.
You do, but what they just need from us is support, and that is what I would ask every other parent to offer the support they need. It's just a matter of time, and these people will be on their feet,
Wow.
and they'll be assisting the society,
Yes.
and they'll also be assisting in other things.
Exactly.
So thank you so much for hosting me.
Thank you so much, Purity Thuo, Margaret Wanjiro, Ezron, for you guys being able to be on this show. And to all our viewers, you have been watching The Mentors here at Sauti Kweli Media. And personally, I just leave you guys to understand that, be reminded that the greatest thing is the foundation. So as we usually say, no tree is stronger than its roots, and no building is stronger than its foundation. Your parents, your history are your foundation and your roots. Be mindful about them, embrace them, value them, water them. Thank you. See you next Monday here at Sauti Kweli Media. This was The Mentors.